The question is, suppose you put rupees 100 into a savings account for 5 years at 5% interest per annum. What would you have at the end of 5 years? This is question number one. Remember your answer. We'll discuss it later. Question number two, much tougher. Um, Suppose you put rupees 100 into a savings account for 1 year at 5% interest per annum. Inflation is at 6% per annum. At the end of the first year, would you be able to buy something that cost you rupees 100 today from that money? In other words, 1 year later, would you buy something that costs today 100 rupees? The first answer is obviously yes. The second is heck no. And the third, I have no clue. Um, think of your answer. You will answer them automatically by the end of it. Uh, I'm going to go to the last question. This is the tough one. I mean, this is, in my view, you can be a graduate to answer this. Is it better to put your money, say rupees 10,000, in an equity share of one company, like let's say you buy 3 shares of HDFC Bank or 4 shares of Facebook, or is it better to put it in a mutual fund with many stocks in that mutual fund? Three options. Obviously, yes, because one stock is better. I can understand it. I know what the stock is. I can feel it, touch it. Every day I can monitor the market. Heck no, the mutual fund is better. And three, I mean, why the hell invest anyway? Let's put the money into a bank and forget about it. Three questions. Think of your answer, and we'll talk about all this later. Write it down, remember it, doesn't matter. So what we're going to do today is take you through what is money and what money means to everybody. And that's a very important question. And secondly, investing. What is investing? We're going to be uh, we're going to cover the basics, but we hope that it gives you enough ammunition to actually take this more seriously by your own self. Uh, this does not matter whether, let's take it this way. First of all, personal finance is very easy. Don't let anybody ever tell you it's tough. Don't let your engineer friends tell you that they understand finance. Don't let your CA, parents tell you that finance is tough. It's not. It's simple. It does not require more than sixth grade mathematics. That also, you don't need to be that great in math. You don't need to have a commerce degree. You don't need to have a any kind of specific knowledge. It's simple. That's the first rule. There are very few things in finance um, that are, you know, that can be complicated. Nothing that is complicated actually makes you that much money. It's you keep it simple, you will make money. So the first question I'm going to ask all of you is, why do you want money? I mean, it's a open-ended question. Think about the answer. I mean, I'm sure that if you guys want to shout it out, it's fine, or else I can give you some answer that people have said before, right? I mean, there's so many more, right? I mean, we all can think of hundreds of reasons why do you want money. The list goes on and on. I'm sure that if I ask you guys to have this conversation for the next 15 minutes, another 10 points will come up. So the real reason is, why do you want money? Well, it's actually a very personal question. I mean, why I want money is very different to why somebody else, maybe very different from my entire family. Why I want money may be different to why my wife wants money, to why my daughter needs money, to why my dad needs money, to why my mom needs money, to why my best friend needs money, right? So it's a personal reason. So therefore, there is no correct answer and there's no wrong answer. It's different for everybody. It will also change over time why you want money. Why you want money as an 18 or 20-year-old is very different to why you want money as a 40-year-old, which is why you want money as a 90-year-old. Then you may want the same, there may be the same reason, but the weightage is changed. The importance of why you want money changes. something to think about because that's going to go back to the investing part. Do you guys know the difference between money, wanting money, and needing money? Um, I'm going to actually ask all of you to unmute yourself and see if you guys can hazard a guess. What is the difference between wanting money and needing money? Any thoughts? I mean, this is not a classroom, so I'm not forcing class participation. But if you have a point, if you have an answer, I would love to hear it. Okay,
Needing
let
money
me give you an
is
example.
more of
Oh,
a
sorry. Yes, yes, with you.
needing money is more of a desperation, like in situations where you have to make ends meet.
Okay, okay, that's fair. Um, so you're saying that it is due to desperation. But let me give you in a different way. Um, to not be hungry, you need money to buy, let's say, a banana or a chapati. But you may want money to go to a five-star restaurant. You have certain needs and you have certain wants, and they're different. The different levels, and could be not only on money, could be on anything. It's something to think about because when you start investing, it's a very important thing. Um, Again, just think about it. Everybody's answer is different. What I think I need is maybe your want. A person at a particular age. Let's give you a somebody at who's much younger. Let's say you guys, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 16-year-olds, whoever's listening. I'm sure that you really want a mobile phone which is high end, which has the best processor. You don't need it, but you want it. At my age, I don't want the best mobile phone. I may actually need, you know, peace of mind. I want a simple Android that does four things well instead of 200 things better. So it changes. Our needs and wants change over a period of time. The last question I'm going to talk about is, do you guys know the difference between being rich and being wealthy? And this is a very important. The reason why we're covering this is because again, it goes back to why you need money, you want money, and why do you need to invest? Again, I'm asking any of you, would you guys want to hazard a guess to what is the difference between being rich and being wealthy? Anybody? Okay. Uh,
Being,
yes, Review. You have something to say?
yeah, so being rich is generally more in the short term. Like it's a lot more futile when being wealthy is someone that will actually last for a longer time.
Okay. So, like I said, it's so one of my biggest learnings being older is this: what is it being rich versus what is being wealthy? And I don't think it's. Let me give you what I think is an answer. None of these are definitions. None of these are textbookish. Being rich is a number. I have $1 million. I have 1 crore in my bank account. I have a Lamborghini. I have I don't I'm dating a glamorous model. Right? It's a number. It's an acquisition. It's something which is money related. It is something which is status related. The other one is is a feeling. I can actually be poor and financially poor and be wealthy, and I can be very, very rich. I can be a billionaire and be not be wealthy. An example would be Elon Musk, second or third wealthiest person, or should I say, richest person in the world. Is he the wealthiest? Wealth is a state of mind. It's a sense of peace that comes that you have enough money to take care of all your needs and not your wants. Being rich, you're comparing yourself to somebody else. My Lamborghini is better than his Porsche. My iPhone, I don't know what number are they, 13 is better than your OnePlus Nord. Uh, my Harvard degree is better than your, um, I don't know, Oxford uh, English major. It's relative. Being wealthy is a state of mind. I am happy with what I have. And you can only be happy if you understand your needs and wants. These are all related. The reason we're having this conversation is because we are all talking about the future. We're all going to go into working. We're all going to make money. We're all going to chase money. We're all going to save money. We're all going to invest money. We all need to know why we're doing it. It's simple. When you go and save money, why are you saving? Are you saving to be rich? Are you saving to be healthy? Are you saving because you want to make sure that your needs are met? Are you saving because you want more? It's all linked, and therefore this conversation. Um, any questions until now? Or let me take the next slide and then I'll ask you for a question. So what I'm questioning with you, to all of you, is what's your relationship with money? And a few things that I've learned in my life, especially when I reached the 40s, is that everybody has a different relationship with money. All of you need to figure out what will money do for you. Having money or having money in the future. Is it actually money that you're looking for, or is it just a tool to get what you want? And you need to basically keep an eye on that conversation because it's easy to say, I want $1 million, but have you figured out why you want the $1 million and will that $1 million do for you what you intended it to do? Right? And it's an important question because all your work from now, and I tell you now, many of you guys are just going into 11th, 12th, maybe undergraduate college. You may not start earning, but you're having allowances, right? Whether you should save, whether you should invest, whether you should spend, all this is a conversation about your relationship with money, your needs and wants, and whether you want to feel rich or you want to feel wealthy. We will talk about it if we have some time in the end, but I'm going to stop here and ask if anybody has any questions while I sip a cup of coffee. Any questions? Just unmute and ask. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So, what is investing? This is the textbook slide. You're putting your money work for you. Now, one of the things wealthy people do, and I use the word wealthy very clearly, the people, it's a state of mind, is that they make money work for you. When you can have money work for you while you're awake and while you're asleep, you feel wealthy. An example would be when I go to work, I put in time, put in effort, and my employer pays me a certain amount of salary. Just because I get paid on a monthly basis, I feel that he's paying me when I sleep, but he's actually not. He's actually paying me for the 9 hours I put in every day. If I don't put in 9 hours, I he will not pay me. But if you have savings and if you know how to invest while you sleep, you're actually earning money. And that's the beautiful thing about investing. If you do it right with the intellect of just a 6 standard-year-old, and if you do it right and you do it in the way that I'm going to tell you about, money will work for you while you are asleep or while you're doing what you need to do and living life. It's great when you can do that. You don't have to worry about it. You need to obviously make money. You need to beat inflation. You will get to inflation. What investing is not, and this is where I have a very big problem with a lot of younger Indian kids, and specifically during the pandemic, and they started from the US and then came down to India, is a young kids who started thinking that investing is making a quick buck. It's gambling, it's risking, derivatives, day trading, all those newfangled words that come in. There are enough studies that go on in that thing, and this is proven over the last 100 years and not 3 years. It's also proven in the last 3 years. Um, in the long term, you cannot make money more than the market, right? Anything that makes a lot of money in the short term is not investing. It's really gambling. You can be right once in a while, but nobody, not even Warren Buffett, has been right all the time. Just to give you some statistics, Warren Buffett made his first million at the age of 48. He's a billionaire now. It takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of work to make money. And then your money starts working for you. But you cannot think that you're going to start making money at the age of 40. You're going to start now. And investments are based on analysis, on using your mind. They're not saying hardcore PhD level analysis. Sixth standard and above is fine. You do not need to be a commerce graduate. You do not need to be an engineer. You do not need to be some high-fi maths PhD. You can be just a sixth standard kid. And you should know enough to actually do an analysis of where you should invest. And we will get to those. I invest. I mean, people have different reasons. Listed a few down. A lot of people say financial stability, and the one of the good things that it is about being Indian, and I'm sure that anybody who are older in this group, especially their parents, know that we had to save because nobody's taking care of us. Our government has no scheme to basically say that yes, when you grow old and you're not working, we will take care of you. We'll give you a pension. We'll give you gold. We are blessed with a high population and a government that can never afford to uh, give us money if we don't work or if we are not intelligent. The Western culture was that if you don't have enough money or you go out of work or you have not done enough in your earlier years, the government will take care of you. All that is going. Your generation will not even have that in the Western world. This is not the time and place for this, but the reality is you need to plan for the future. And sadly, when I use the word sadly, is that all of you listening to this will at least at a minimum live to be 90, 90. At least most of you will cross 100. That means that you guys have to earn and save enough to last you that many years. Most of you are not even 20. Think about it. You can only work for a certain amount of time. I'm not saying because there are rules about how long you can work. Even if you start being an entrepreneur, your health may not maybe allow you to work after you're 75. What are you going to do for the next 25 years after that? You need to start planning now. Not big, not difficult, but you need to start small and start now. It's a hedge against inflation, and we need to beat inflation. We will take inflation later. Uh, you may want to buy a car, you may want to buy a house. You need to start saving for it. You need to not only save but invest, right? And obviously, make money in your sleep, not a bad idea, right? So it maximizes one's earning capacity. Right? You go to work, let's say you are a engineer, you go and build some great, computers, you make some great machinery in the daytime. And then nighttime, your money continues working for you. So that at the end of the day, you not only have your salary, but you also have returns from your investment, make you feel really good, makes you sleep really well. That's called being wealthy. A lot of wealthy people have money which works for them. Now comes a very ugly word. What is inflation? Um, I'm sure all of you guys have heard it. I'm not questioning that. Let's not get into what the economists say. We all agree, right? Everything gets costlier. Can any of you guys tell me what does not get costlier as time goes by? A couple of examples. Things that are getting cheaper every day. Okay. Let me help you with this. The mobile phones are actually getting cheaper. What you need is getting cheaper. What you want is getting more expensive. The ability to communicate from between A and B now can be done in 3,000 rupees. And we still want to buy a 60,000 rupees phone. That's another conversation. But now there are certain things that are getting cheaper, but 99% of the stuff is getting expensive as time goes by. It actually means that if you don't do anything with your money and your money doesn't grow, the same thing that you want to buy in the future, you need to spend more money on it. That can get scary, right? Why? Because you're thinking that, okay, fine, I'm saving up for a house. But that house, and I'm going to buy the house after 5 years, the house costs, let's say, a crore here today. And you start saving, saving, saving. But by the time it comes to buy the house is no longer 1 crore. It's more, right? So inflation can be on multiple things, on prices. Actually, the amount that you want. Think of the milkshake analogy. When you were 3 years old, you could use half a milkshake. Now you can actually drink two after a nice game of squash, right? And also the type of products. I mean, when I was young, I was very happy with a Flair pen. I now definitely want a Uniball, right? So that's the kind of want that has been created, and therefore there's inflation. My bare minimum is a Uniball now. So examples, inflation can be on many types. This is not the economist version. I can give you the economist version. That's really useless. Things are going to get costly. Plan for it, manage it. Uh, some basic yarn, back to wealth. You need to seek a feeling of being wealthy and not money or status. It's so important because most people, and I give you most means 95%, you guys go back and talk to your friends, talk to your parents, talk to your grandparents, and you ask them, you ask them whether, what do they feel rich? Do they feel wealthy? And most of them want to be rich or they want to feel rich. It's very important to understand the difference. Money is really how we transfer time and wealth. I mean, if you give up time, if I go to a factory and work there for 5 days a week, I'm actually getting paid. So therefore, I'm giving up my time and I'm getting a salary. What I do with my salary will either make me rich or make me wealthy. It's where I want to be. And status is my place in society. It has nothing to do with my the amount of money I have in my bank account. I can be a big jerk, and I could be very wealthy and a jerk. You can see a lot of them out there in the market, in the social media. And I could be poor and really, really high up there in the pecking order of social status. So it's all about what you want. Um, it's important to understand again why you invest. So let's start with some numbers. Don't that should not scare you. I'm just trying to make a point. You don't need to know these numbers too well. Let's say you start when you were at 21. Maybe you got your first paycheck. You decide that you want to invest 10,000 rupees every month. Let's say you start investing at the age of 22 and you stop when you're 52. Both are there. These are. And at 7%, you will get at the end of those 30 years, if you're investing every month, 1.2 crores. Great thing, right? That's because you started when you were 22. Just say you started 4 years later, just 4 years later with everything being the same, you only get 88 lakhs. That's a bloody big jump reduction just because you started 4 years later in a 30-year time period. Let's say you decided be slightly more intelligent, and instead of getting 7%, you've been able to be intelligent and could eke out 8 over the last 30 years. The amount of money goes up from 1.2 crores to 1.5. What I'm trying to make a point here, I think two. The most critical is start early. It's okay if you start small. Start early as possible. You can start even today with 500 rupees every month. It all adds up. There is a well-known, I don't know whether it's a meme, I don't know whether it's actually been proven. It's called the Starbucks fallacy. Most American working um, uh, in New York, at least the financial sector, would have a Starbucks for $6 while going to work and one while at work, which means about $12 worth of overpriced, really bad tasting coffee every day. Somebody did an analysis that if in their working life, if they just gave up the Starbucks and had the coffee in the office, they would have made approximately 1.3 million more if they'd taken that $12 every month and invested it. And that's enough to retire on, guys. It's just giving up your coffee. So it's very important to understand the power of doing something early. Moral of the story, start as early as possible. Start even with small amounts. 500 bucks a month. When you can increase it to 600, do it. When you start earning, do it. Maybe, say that 10% of my salary or 20% of my salary I will save. I don't care how, but I will save. It doesn't look like a lot. It all adds up, right? It should become a habit. Now we'll start talking about how we do this. There's so many options to invest, right? I mean, there's just so many of them that most of us get overwhelmed. And that's why a lot of people don't invest. Um, I can show you some of the smartest people I know who do not invest. I can show you fund managers, guys who manage other people's money, who most of their money is in fixed deposits. Big mistake. You will never beat inflation with fixed deposits. You will never beat inflation with your money in a bank. Therefore, you need to do other things. So, what are the type of investment assets? You have hard assets that you can touch and feel, real estate, metals like gold and silver, and you have financial assets, listed shares and bonds. Bonds are basically like FDs, but are traded on the stock market. They give you a fixed amount of money, what they promise. Similarly, FDs, the only thing a listed bond can be sold earlier. Mutual funds, that's another whole topic, but I'm going to broach it. Your variability of returns is basically whether you can lose your investment partially or fully, or you cannot. So just to give you some briefing, shares, you can go up and down. So if you put 1,000 rupees, it can become 500, it can be zero, or it can go to 10,000, right? FDs, if you've done decent companies, if you put in 1,000 bucks, it should stay at 1,000 plus some interest. Mutual funds, depending on the type of mutual fund, whether it's debt, equity, passive, sectorial, it can go up or down. The amount of up or down depends on the kind of instrument. It's complicated, but not really. I'll go back into it. It's because of this slide, a lot of people don't invest. And if you guys really want to make it interesting, look at this. This is just a snapshot of some of the things that you can invest in. Scares the shit out of you. That's why people like me made money. Because I would put the fear of investing in you and make you do two things. You give me your money to invest, and I would make a lot more money than you. Uh, and or you would not invest and be a pauper. You can manage your money. You don't need too much of intellect. You just need to start. This is complicated. You don't need it to be. So back to basics. It's actually very easy. There are few rules. Hard assets are for those who have high amounts of money. You can't buy half a flat. You have to buy a full flat, right? 1-2 crore, right? If you have a smaller amount, especially now, you can buy financial assets, stocks, bonds, Please don't buy crypto. Um, don't borrow and buy financial assets, derivatives, things like that. Stick to the basics. If you have money that you need for current expenses, put them in safe places like bank FDs. If you have money that you don't have an immediate horizon for, put them in financial assets that can earn more. So anything to do with a bank FD or bank savings account will never beat inflation. Even though you have 6% interest or 7% interest, that means inflation is at 7 to 8. So if you ever put money in a bank, it is going to be not beating inflation. Does not mean you shouldn't put money in the bank. If you put some of the money in your bank, because you may need it immediately for an emergency or even for your normal ghar kharch. The remaining you need to put in judicial assets, in other assets. So how do I decide? Uh, you know what? I'm going to take a quick break now just to see if you guys have any questions because it's going to, I have three, four more slides left and then I have to answer those questions. If you have any questions, do ask me. You have to unmute yourself if you have any questions. Okay, I'll continue. If I've scared you, don't get scared. It's actually very easy. It's not tough, right? Just get down to the basics. How do I decide? So you need to decide what works for you. Works for me at the age of 54 is very different to what works for my 18-year-old daughter. It's very different to what works for my 26-year-old nephew, which is what very different from what works for my 45-year-old table tennis partner, right? So it's different. You need to decide your allocate. Allocation means how much of your, let's say, 500 rupees you're going to put where every month. You do not put everything in one shot. You do not put everything in gold. You do not put everything in one bank. You do not put everything in one stock. You do not put everything in one mutual fund. You have to divide it into three or four so that if one thing is wrong or something falls, you are not broke. So let's assume that you're 18 years old and you're getting an allowance. Let's say your parents have agreed to give you an allowance and you decide you want to save a part of it. By the way, that's how I started at the age of 16. I used to get uh, equivalent of around 5 rupees as an allowance, and I just save 1 rupee out of that. Uh, so a typical one that you could start off is 50%, sorry, 80% equity of your savings. That is, let's say 500 rupees, may say 400 rupees, you put into an equity mutual fund. This can go up and this can go down. And the 100 rupees you put in a bank FD or in a bank account. So it's got So as a recap, we talked about for an 18-year-old, if you have an allowance and you want to do a small saving, how do you do it? So I suggest, and this is not cast in stone, it can change based on what you think is right. Equity should be around 75 to 80%. And fixed income, which is bank FDs, bank savings accounts, company deposits should be about 20. Uh, Anything you put in the fixed income, which is bank deposit, etc., will not beat inflation. Anything that you put in the equity part will beat mostly will beat inflation over the medium term. In the short term, it is volatile, it can go up or down. And it's important to understand that things can go down, right? When it comes to equity, you have options, large cap, mid cap, international. What works for you is fine. Large cap moves is less movement both ways. Mid cap and swing both ways higher. International is good and bad. It's a market mostly like the US. There's a foreign exchange component to it, which is nice because India's rupee depreciates. But it's something which you can look at because a lot of you might be thinking of doing foreign trips in the future and just spending for it. Uh, any of this work, set it up upfront. If you do not know what to do, pick up the phone, call me. I can help you set it up in terms of get your thoughts together on your asset allocation. Once you have this thought of what I should allocate every month, then you got to choose which mutual fund. The best way to do it is where do you find your answers? Go to a Mint paper on a Monday, or I think I was there today also. It gives you the best performing funds in every segment. Take the best Nifty fund or the top three, any of the top three, invest in it. Take one of the good mid cap or large cap funds and invest in it. One international fund. So what's going to happen is that when you do that, you think, oh no, is it right? Is it wrong? But by and large, if they're ETFs, they will mirror the market. They may not be rock stars, but they will mirror the market. So you're going to be okay about it. Remember that 7%, 8% example I showed you, where if you're intelligent, you make 7% and you make 1.3 crores. And if you really work slightly harder and get 1% more, by doing ETFs, we are hoping you get that 1% more. So that's where it is. If you have a problem with what to choose, write to me separately. I will tell you how to look for it. What I will not do is tell you what to do, which is where the intent is. The intent is to make you guys do some work. So that's where it comes from. Well, like I was saying before, once you decide your asset allocation and you decide with mutual funds, greenlessly every month invest that money, even if it's 200 rupees, 300 rupees, invest, right? Don't think about it, itna chota hai, let me add it up to the 5,000 rupees, no fun investing 100 rupees. Don't do that. Invest and just invest. Markets go up, stay invested. Markets go down, stay invested. Don't buy and sell. Don't be too smart. There are enough studies that show that people who time the market don't actually make a lot of money. Everybody seems to make some money in the short term, but in the long term, this does not make money. The reason is if you buy and sell, there are tax implications, and if you buy and sell, you're just holding, it's not staying invested for some time. That's losing income. So keep it simple, keep it boring, and you will make money for the long term. So how do I start? First, make that commitment. You will save every month. Say if you're getting your allowance on the first of every month, on the third, come rain, come shine, you will make X amount of money go into an investment. How do we do it? Get your parents. If you are over 18, you can have the account in your name. If you're under 18, get your parents to open a minor's account in any of the large banks. Kotak, HDFC, ICICI, Axis, RBL, yes, nothing. Open a demat account or get a Zerodha account and start investing. It's really simple. If you have something like Zerodha, it's brainless, right? It takes 5 minutes to open that account online. Ask your parents to give you an allowance that you can spend for your musty. And if they really want to encourage this, tell them to give you an amount of money which you have to invest. Say 5,000 rupees every month. And then you have to give them proof that you've invested. So what happens is a double proof. They should not tell you where to invest, but they should make you invest. Choose your asset allocation, choose the actual investment that you want, actually invest, keep doing it every month without fail. Don't fall off the wagon. This has to become a habit. And believe me, that's what's going to make you money. A habit. Don't look at it every day. Don't look at it every month. Once in 3 months is a great amount. If you see it once in 6 months, nobody's going to fault you. Keep it boring. Keep it basic. Keep it simple. Every year, once a year, decide maybe it's the month of your birthday. You want to have a look at how you've done. Okay, how whatever maths you have, six standard maths is adequate for you to figure out whether you've done well or not. Maybe after every 3 to 4 years, figure out whether your asset allocation works for you. Do you still want to be as 80% in equity, 20% in debt, or now that you have enough debt, you really want to put 85% in equity and then work on that. It will not take you more than 15 minutes every 3 months. It's that simple. Keep it simple. Don't let anybody tell you it's tougher. So remember, finance is easy. You just need to save and invest. You need to make sure that you invest in various asset classes, not all your money, not in one basket, not everything in gold, not everything in crypto, not even though it's a rock star asset. You need to diversify. You need to put it in 3 to 4 assets. You need to stay invested. Don't keep on buying and selling. It's not right. Stay invested. Keep it boring. Don't use your brains too much. Invest in what you know. So if somebody comes up to you and says, I got this new great idea, let's invest in fish farms. If you know jack shit about fish farms, don't invest. You are investing for the long term. You want to invest so that you make money in your sleep. So you don't want to put too much of mind to it. Stay in what you know and keep it there. If you have a strong view on a particular asset class, maybe you want to increase that. But however, if you don't, stay in the large cap, mid cap, and small cap space. Don't do anything intelligent. You'll make adequate money and let the compounding do its magic. Just stay invested. And always remember why you're doing all this, saving and investing. Hard assets will make you feel rich. It'll never make you feel wealthy. You can say, I have 4 houses. Let's say the houses are worth 20 crores total. Because you can't draw on that 20 crores, you'll never feel wealthy. You'll feel rich because you can tell everybody you have 4 houses. But you cannot sleep well. Understand at any point of time why you're saving and investing. And this difference between being rich and wealthy is very important. Maybe you guys are too young right now. It's critical. I'm sure your parents have gone through this exercise. So we're coming to that question that we asked. Any ideas? Any answers? Did you guys get it right? You guys want to unmute yourself? Did you guys get your answer? When we started this, you must have had some answers. Now, do you want to change any of your answers? Okay. Well, the answers are this. And if you had got all three right, believe me, you are actually in the top 30% of the adults in the US only. Right? Most people even get this wrong. It's so simple and yet people get it wrong. So most people don't apply their mind to it. They get scared that finance is not for them. But this is all what you need to know. I'm done. Thank you very much. If you have any question, I'm open to that, or else we can call it a day. Okay, guys, thank you for listening. I hope my 18-year-old has got some perspective. Um, I hope she does. Let's see what comes out of it. Thank you, everybody. If you have any questions or you want me to cover any part again, or you want to have a one-on-one conversation with me, just uh, call me up and have a conversation. Thank you. Bye bye.